Everybody here okay? Fantastic. Great to have you all here. How the heck are you? I hope really well. Happy Thursday to you. And boy, there's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about. In this episode of the Xbox A Show, we are going to be covering the Back for Blood beta. I want to talk about some things. I want to talk about what I think is good about it. I want to talk about what I hope that is changed by the time they make it to the October release. If you've been paying attention to the channel at all, to the stream, you'll notice that I've been playing some reruns of Back for Blood. And I think that it's really fun gameplay to kind of go back and rewatch. And you've been if you've missed the boat, I'll be doing some more reruns. So you'll have the opportunity to view more of it, or even for the first time. I'd like to start at the beginning, way back at the beginning, when I was, and by the way, the chat window is open. Let me go ahead and pop my Discord for everyone to see here. There is my Discord, and there is my YouTube. Everybody in the chat, you can see the chat window is also open, right? So I definitely want to have a conversation. So at any point, if chat, you're here and you're like, hey, I have a question about this, or I have a comment about that, it's going to be an interactive experience. I don't want you to think that you are not going to be heard. So I got lots. I'm loaded for bear. I'm locked, loaded, ready to rock here. But if you want to interject, this is absolutely, I'm happy to make it a conversation. There's a little bit of a lag, as you all know, but not too bad. Okay, intro's out of the way. Thanks for being here. Let's sally forth. Let's crack on. Depending on what part of the world you're from, that's what my UK friends would say. So let's talk Back for Blood. Okay, so Back for Blood is from the studio, right? The studio that made the Left 4 Dead games, Left 4 Dead 1, and then Left 4 Dead 2. Those games never had a campaign. This game does not really have a campaign. They call it a campaign. So the Left 4 Dead, and you can still, I play on Xbox, you can still go to the backwards compatibility games and buy it and play it. It just depends if there's someone there to play it with you, right? But what you did, what was really the crack cocaine of those games, was you had humans, and you went from safe room to safe room, okay? You went from safe room to safe room 8 times or so, and you had to stick together as a team, and you had your weapons, and there were zombies coming at you, but there's also special mutant type zombies. And those special mutant type zombies were humans. It was PvP. So here you are trying to do your thing, and it was hilariously awesome to play as a zombie, because you could really, if you knew what you were doing, hamstringing people. You could really, if you had a team that didn't communicate well, or one got separated, you had the real opportunity to separate the babe from the pack, as it were, and go after them, and you just wear them down, right? So there's this always interaction. You're human, you're zombie, you got to play as a zombie. In Back for Blood, same developers, what they've done is, and if you've watched the gameplay, they have you go through as humans. But there's no PvP in that quote-unquote campaign in this game. The versus portion of the game, that's where you get to play as humans, the cleaners, so we'll call them cleaners from now on. So the cleaners versus the zombies. And you can choose to be one of, I think it was 4 different types of zombies. Very similar to Left 4 Dead. One of my favorites was the boomer. You're just this fat, bulbous zombie that they would shoot you and you'd just explode, and it was like acid. That's hilarious. And then there's one where you could stop them in their tracks, and so on and so forth. In Back for Blood, you have that same type boomer. You have one that spits. You have one with a really long Arnold Schwarzenegger arm that'll grab and hold. And then I'm trying to remember the other. I'm going blank for some reason. So this circle goes closer and closer, so it's a timed evolution. There's no real goal other than to survive longer than the other team. So you'll start off as a cleaner in the PvP mode, and then you'll last, 4 minutes. So the other team, you'll switch sides. The other team just has to last 4 minutes and 1 second to win. And depending on your skill level and your technique and everything that you're doing, depends on what's going on. So that's fascinating to watch and play if you've maybe not played Left 4 Dead or Left 4 Dead 2, because you're like, oh man, I really miss that campaign where you're trying to stop the cleaners from going from point A to point B. So in my note to my review of the beta, right, like you scan a QR code and you send it in. That was one of my points of feedback is, I really miss that opportunity to do PvP, but in the campaign. I don't know that the PvP alone is all that in a bag of potato chips, as Dr. Evil would say. I don't know. Throw me a frickin' bone here, okay? Now, the campaign, obviously, from the beta, right? And we can only go off what the beta was, what they gave us, right? So the beta was pretty robust as far as in unique cards, okay? You're never going to play the same path twice. You're never, even though they had only had the one campaign, the one level, the one mission, it was divided into 8 safe rooms, right? There was birds maybe in another place, and maybe the horde got called in, or maybe there's, I forget what they call it, but this thing that would stick on the wall. If you heard it way before you got close to it, it was like this snarl. It's pretty cool. And it would dive on you. It was like half a torso, but yet it could hold you down. It's funny. So you had to have somebody get it off of you. They would be there or not there. And then you have the card system. So when you load it in, there was, and you can see this in the gameplay, there was this farm, right? You could go test the weapons, which, by the way, we'll talk about, but the card system. And you unlocked the cards by getting the inventory currency that's escaping me at the moment. But essentially, you can unlock cards as you go and acquire that currency. And then you have decks. You have 15 cards per deck. And you can put in that deck any 15 cards you want. So there's a starter deck, which you're given. But then as you unlock stronger and cooler cards, you're like, I want that one. Let's do that instead. This gives, 20% ammo instead of 10% ammo. Oh, and it's for everybody. But then some of the cards will have negative effects on other attributes, usually stamina. So on and so forth, right? Okay, so you get your 15 cards, and then what you do is you load into the game, and it's depending, the game director is what Turtle calls it. The game director is going to give you a card, and there's different levels of difficulty. So let's talk about that real quick. So you have the base level of difficulty, which there's no friendly fire, and you kind of get, I don't want to use the word coddled, but let's go with it. So you get kind of coddled going through. If you don't know what you're doing, if you don't work as a team, it still can get tough, and you can still get caught with your pants down. So you want to stick together. But the friendly fire aspect, huge. Really, really huge. Then the medium difficulty, there's, I think it's 30% friendly fire, something like that. Okay? So 30% friendly fire. And the cards that the game director puts out are definitely a little more difficult. There's more of them. Okay, now there's going to be, the normal zombies are going to be extra irritable, or you're going to have more of these type of the mutants, right? You're going to, or that type, and you may have it that card play one time through, then the next time through you may not. It's totally right. It's totally random, and that's the point. Then you have the opportunity to play your cards. Of the 15 in your deck, you get 5 to choose from. Of those 5, you can choose 1. Every time you make it to a new safe room, you're given a fresh 5 out of your deck of 15 to choose from, and then it applies to the session. Some of the cards apply to just you. Could be health, could be ammo, it could be ability to see things to pick up, or it could be team based. I'm going to give the team a 10% ammo boost. I'm going to give the team 10% health boost. There's different things to do. And again, welcome new viewers. If you're in here, please feel free to say hi in the chat. Looking to make this interactive. I'm just kind of going over some things right now in Back 4 Blood, the review of it. So, okay, the cards by far and away make up the most random parts of the game. It's like Forrest Gump said in Forrest Gump, well, life is, Back for Blood is a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. And you really don't. So you load in, you lock and load. You could start out with the gun of your dreams and the attachments that you love. Or you could start off with everything that's wrong in the world and not get a gun you like until the fourth or fifth safe room. So you got to learn to adapt, and that's part of it. Learning to adapt. And then you have the most level difficulty, the third one, Nightmare Mode. And that is like 60% friendly fire on, which is particularly brutal because, yeah, it's the problem I found. Okay, in Back for Blood, the developers are going to have to figure out a way to get around. Oh, we're not having a good run through. I'm just going to start shooting my teammates. Now, obviously, if you're with people you're really not going to have to worry about that. But when you run into randos, it did not end well. There's a few sessions I jumped into to be a help in a row. And I think because of that, someone had left. But yeah, they were shooting each other and obviously not trying to progress the story. And that was kind of frustrating because I loaded in to help them. Sometimes you load in and you just have bots. It's you and 3 bots. Bots are okay, they're not great. That's one of the feedback items that they're taking for action to make it not so horrible to play with computer enemies. And I noticed when I'd load into a new safe room, sometimes all 3 of the other human players would be replaced with bots. That was not helpful. That was not cool because human player was much more effective. There's long range. Well, let's talk about weapons. So you have sniper rifles in the game, which I didn't toy with too much because I found myself never within sniping range. I always found myself at most, in certainly submachine gun or certainly assault rifle range. But then you had assault rifles. The M16 was a 3-round burst, which I'm not a fan of. The M4, always good. Recoil was decent. And I should also mention the attachments, depending on the attachments you get throughout the levels. Depends on how the guns perform too. Shotguns, right? Really effective, except for there's one that only held 3. That was not a great shotgun. And then you had submachine guns. Now, one of my favorite guns on the planet, especially if I'm playing PUBG Mobile, is the Vector. The Vector's fabulous. It shreds, right? Barely any recoil, and it just shoots so fast. But you only have 19 bullets in that thing. Well, one of the games, I was able to get my hands on a extended magazine. It was awesome. It took it up to, I think it was over 30 rounds, either 29, 30, or 31 rounds. It was great. It was awesome. I was like, this is totally doable. So the Vector was especially awesome with that extended magazine. That's the only time I'd really want to play with the Vector is with an extended magazine. Otherwise, you shoot 1 or 2 people and you're reloading. It's just a reload fest. With that gun, as much as I love it, I don't want to see the reload animation every 5 seconds. So the M5, really thought that was a good weapon, the MP5. I really enjoyed that. That's probably my favorite of the submachine guns that I really enjoyed. Then you have some of the handguns, the Desert Eagle, you had the Beretta, you had the Glocks. Some of the handguns were semi-automatic, and some of them were full auto, which is pretty crazy. One of the things you have to watch out for when you're on the game and with the handguns is sometimes the handguns will use the same exact ammo as a submachine gun. So it took me a minute to notice this because I'm like, I'm going to use my handgun and save my ammo for my submachine gun. And then I'm like, wait a minute. It's an extreme coincidence that this ammo's actually saying the same number. Nope, it's using the same amount of ammo. Ah, crap. So then what I would do, because I like the submachine gun, is I would tend to go towards a melee weapon. Now, I'm not a huge melee weapon fan, but I gotta tell you, they made it to where it was worth your while to use a machete, or a machete, or the hatchet, or the axe. The machete, I felt like I had to get a couple strikes in, whereas the hatchet was just a one and done. The axe was a longer swing, and that was a one and done as well, which is very, very interesting. I'm just really glad that they were able to make it to where the melee was good to go, because there's some great melee weapons in the game, and you're up front and personal and just gooey. That was a great. That if I can give you one word that that describes this game, it's gooey. You just mm, 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 mm. Very, very gooey. Which is fun, right? Like, it's just a fun. Don't take it too seriously. It seems intense, and it is, but you can. What was great about it is you're able to turn your brain off. It's just kind of mindless. You're using some, but you're just having a good time, and it's a hoot. So the levels were fun. When the hordes would come, that was fun. The throwables are very effective. They're definitely reminiscent, okay, of Left 4 Dead. So in my opinion, the most effective throwable is the pipe bomb. So you throw it, it beeps, it draws the horde around it, and it goes kaboom, and it kills oodles of them. So if you're in a hot mess of a situation, that's fantastic. You do have regular grenades, but you also have things like firecrackers. And firecrackers are great because does the same thing a pipe bomb does. It just doesn't explode. But again, you want to get the zombies off of you, throw the firecrackers, and they all go around it, and it gives everybody a chance to mow them down, which is super helpful. The currency in the game is copper, and there are some other. Before I talk about the currency, there are some other tools you can use. There's ammo you can buy. Toolkits are great. The toolkits will open up doors that are sometimes doors, sometimes not. I feel like I'm in the Matrix when I'm, depending on your run through, either it's a tool room or it's not, where it'll have lots of attachments and other weapons and a lot of gold and health, which is really important to have in that game. So you have this opportunity to replay and replay and replay, and it's just different. Now that's one of the things they're betting on, is saying it's the replayability, which is pretty. We'll see how many campaigns they have. We'll talk about that more in a minute. I just want to tease that copper is the currency inside the game, right? So you start out with X amount of copper. You can only buy so much stuff. And the copper is great because you have the opportunity to get more of it. And one of the cards is see copper more easily. So I would play that one, and you will see it in cars. You'll see it around, hidden in bushes. Like, you'll see it in places that other people don't see it at. And that gives you a real advantage as you go towards the next safe room, and you're able to afford a team in the big orange crate. You may not need to buy a weapon for you, but you could buy the team extra health, or you could buy them extra offensive damage or something, right? So having somebody on the team that's acquiring a lot of copper for everybody is a huge benefit, huge help. And that's one of the better cards you can have, and encourage you to have that in your stack. Faux show. Now, when we talk replayability, this is what I teased a bit ago. When we talk replayability, okay, how many times am I going to want to go through this? And I think it just depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for the destination, I don't know that this is a great game for that, because you're playing for the journey, because the journey is different every time. And it's, I'm the first to tell you, along with vampire movies, vampire games, or zombie games and zombie movies are right up there, right? Just too many. The last couple years, we've seen a lot less. But boy, we had nothing but World War Z and the Twilight and Shaun of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead. Like, you just name it, zombie movie after zombie movie and zombie game after zombie game. And at some point, you just kind of go, enough. That's a lot. Kind of tired of it, right? Kind of not real fun. And that's where I found myself with the game. What's really great, what I really enjoy about Back 4 Blood is it's a fresh take, right? You got that, and I'm hoping they will go ahead and marry the PvP and PvE again. I think that that's a real missed opportunity if they don't. I'm doubtful that they will because they've spent so much time tinkering and making it to where like the PvP portion that I was describing early is great if you just like, you know what? I want to fire this game up. I just want to do a quick match or two and I'm done. Perfect for that, right? But if you want the PvP but you want it to be a longer experience, having it involved in the campaign I think is the winning combination. I think that it's although probably not the same people making the game that made Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2, they have to know that is what made the game great. It wasn't that you had zombies coming at you. It wasn't that there was a great game director. Okay, that helps, but I don't know if it's going to put it over the edge. So let's talk price. I don't think that it's a $60 price tag. I don't. Now we'll have to see how many campaigns it has when it gets closer to the release date. I think we'll learn more information, which I think is great. But I don't know that it's going to be, a $60 title, or if they sell it for less and then the microtransaction game. I don't know enough about this studio because games have changed so much in the way they could get money. You'll notice that unless it's a deluxe or premium edition game, games have been $60 for 15 years, right? But in-game purchases are where it's at. So we'll see what they do. We'll see how they choose to play it. I think that the gameplay was great. The mechanics felt good. One of the things that I wished that they would do, or they did for the beta, was I'm on Xbox, if you haven't noticed, by my name and by my profile. And I have a keyboard and mouse for it. So when I play Sea of Thieves, which we're going to be talking about A Pirate's Life coming up here shortly, the Pirates of the Caribbean DLC for it, we're going to dive into that. I'll play with my mouse and keyboard. I enjoy that. And I was kind of wanting that for this experience because it is crossplay. You are playing with people on a keyboard and mouse, and I think that should be something that is supported. Anytime a game is crossplay, anytime you're on a controller, especially PvP, right? Anytime that you're going against people via crossplay, that should always be an option for the console, since the consoles can have a mouse and keyboard. I think that's totally appropriate. I can't think of a time when that wouldn't be, oh yeah, you know what, you might be right. So I hope that that's something that they add. It's my understanding that it won't be by the time it launches. Maybe it'll be an addition to, because Sea of Thieves took them about a year and a half to do that. But it was welcome, right? So you could choose just to play against people with controllers, or you could choose to play in the world with everybody. Now that being said, in the campaign, I don't know if it makes that big a difference other than I feel like I'm more accurate with a mouse and keyboard. One of the things I noticed, whether it was a handgun or the main gun, the main primary submachine gun, assault rifle, whatever, was when I pressed the left trigger, when I aimed down sights or ADS'd, when I ADS'd, it snapped to a zombie. Just automatically zoop, zoomed in, snapped in, and I could shoot it. A little easy. So I did find in the options where I could go in and turn that off because I wanted more of a challenge. I didn't want to just press that trigger and then have instant success every time. So that was a good option, but I found that given so many hordes, and if you're a little bit of a novice and just want to have a good time, play on the easiest difficulty. That is something you can do. Now you don't ever have to aim down sights. You can always just pull the right trigger and shoot from the hip. Good luck. or have the melee weapon out and go at it. But stamina is something that's a thing in this game. So when you run, you'll notice the white bars going down. I can't tell you, the answer is far too often, but I can't tell you how many times I listen to my character out of breath, just dragging ass and sucking wind. Just, I like to play as Hoffman. But whatever character, they do the same thing. It's like, So the cards that you play, some of them were stamina to make it greater, and I found that helpful. Pardon me, one moment. Making a break for it on a bridge, or whether you're just hacking and slashing, you want to be able to continue to hack and slash, not run out of energy, and then being like, oh, my stamina's done. So I felt the default was decent, but it certainly helped the more stamina people would ramp up, or if you played that card for yourself. Again, welcome aboard, chat. It's awesome to have you here. And the chat is open. The chat window's there if you all are here. Thank you for joining in person. You can be involved in the chat if you are watching this on a replay or rerun. Unfortunately, if you type something, this is a recording. But it's great to have you here. If you're not following, would love to have you as a follower. Play a lot of different games. And Sea of Thieves is one of my main jams. So let me tie a bow on Back 4 Blood. Then we'll take a short break, and then we'll launch into A Pirate's Life, Sea of Thieves. So, all in all, Back 4 Blood, beta. I played the early access beta, and then the next weekend I played the open beta. I did not notice a huge difference. I think they're just stress testing the servers. I think that the PvP, the versus, is okay. I think it's fun. I think the novelty will kind of wear off a little quickly. It's not very deep. But you get to play as a zombie. And, how many games? That's the hook, right? How many games do you get to go and play as a freaking zombie? Okay? Not many. You're always fighting them. So that's neato burrito. Different types of zombies you can unlock using points that you earn in the game of the zombie, the mutation that you are, and there's variations of it. So again, there's some replayability, but you're just trying to survive. That's about as deep as that is. When it comes to the campaign stuff, I like what they're doing. I think the safe rooms, it's a lot of fun. You got to work as a team. If someone you can spot, the spotting is really good in that game. So if I saw birds, I was like, birds. And it would put a little icon over them. And hopefully nobody in their right mind would make them fly away, because then that brought, the horde on you, which is not fun. And most of the time, people that you played with on the lowest level without the friendly fire incident was good. I did notice on the second weekend, I guess, come to think of it, the second weekend, the very last level where you have to fire the howitzer, there were no zombies. The first weekend on the early access beta there were. So that was a glitch in the game. But overall, I think it's a really fun playthrough. It took about 3 hours to go through the campaign from beginning to end. It was a fun experience. You didn't have to have your brain on. You could just kind of do it and enjoy. The weird thing was I would be in party chat and people could hear me in game chat. I've never experienced a game where that had been the case before. So that was really odd, because I'd be chatting in party like I would normally do, and if I wanted to talk to somebody in game, like I could do that. So I didn't feel like I had complete privacy with you chat when I was playing it. But all in all, I think it's interesting. If they do another beta, I highly recommend that you check it out. I think you'll have a lot of fun with it. But come October, the game is going to be released, and I have a little more convincing to be done. If I'm being completely honest with you, a little more convincing to be done to pick it up. I'm right there. I may do it anyways, but I'm right there. It's super fun. If I was playing, I didn't have anybody that I played it with that was a friend. So actually I did one time. I played with Goddess. But I found that more enjoyable than when you're playing it with strangers. But whether it's with bots or whether it's with friends or whether it's with strangers, there's always going to be 4 of you punching away at it, going through. Overall, a good time had. You'll see more of the reruns being played. You can judge for yourself. In the meantime, we're going to be talking about Sea of Thieves and A Pirate's Life, the Pirates of the Caribbean DLC that came out about 2 months ago. The last Xbox Ace show, we were, myself, Little Shuns, and Paul Jones were giving our thoughts on what it was going to be like, our anticipation, and I am going to follow up with what I thought of it. We're going to take a short break, and we'll see you guys back in a moment.
We like to think we have some form of control still. making our constant binary choices and voicing our equally shallow opinions more loudly or quietly. Most people can't even decide what color to wear or which burger to eat. What does it matter, man? Autonomy is an illusion. Autonomy is an illusion. Autonomy is an illusion. Most people can't even decide what color to wear or which burger to eat. What does it matter, man? Autonomy is an illusion. Autonomy is an illusion. Autonomy is an illusion.
Hey peeps, let's talk some Sea of Thieves. I know you want to. You know I want to. So listen, let's just do what we really want to do here and talk about a pirate's life. Boy, was there a lot of consternation going into this expansion. Oh my goodness. Well, let me take a brief moment once again to pop my Discord. You'll see the link in the chat. Let me pop for you my YouTube as well. You'll see it there. So would love to see you in Discord. Join the conversation. Would love to have you check out my YouTube if you get bored and you really want something to do. I think there's some decent content. We're growing. We're just having fun, doing our thing. And if you like what you see, be sure to drop a like. You don't have to subscribe, but if you want to, that's cool too. Appreciate the likes. So let's talk Sea of Thieves, a pirate's life. So, not to give too much backstory again, because again, if you listen to Xbox A Show 2, the one where we basically talked about our anticipation, talked about how I've played this game since it was beta, and the expectation going forward. So if we know nothing else, Rare, a lot of care and attention to what they do. So, and I'm going to speak a little bit for Shunt, I'm going to speak a little bit for Paul, because I know how they feel about it. And I'll, of course, give you my opinion on it. And there will be some spoilers. So spoilers ahead. Let me even type it in the chat. Spoilers in this. Not massive spoilers, but just enough to where we need to talk a little bit about it. If you haven't beaten it, don't go anywhere. It's okay. You don't have to boogie on out of here. But at the same time, I'm going to give away, a couple things. It's been 2 months. And I want to say that on the surface, and after playing it, everything I can think to say, Rare did an exceptional job with the content. They did a great job with it. How do you marry a Disney franchise and Sea of Thieves? Two completely different worlds. The only thing they have in common is piracy. Like, the characters aren't the same, the world's not the same, the universe isn't the same as we would say. If we're talking like MCU or DCU, the universes are different. So how do you marry it? How do you make it to where you're going to have the characters come into the Sea of Thieves? How are you going to have the Sea of Thieves characters go into what Disney creates? You don't really go into the world too much. It's mostly think of the ride, Pirates of the Caribbean. If there's a callback to anything, it's mostly the ride. And then actually one of the Tall Tales, that's basically an achievement, is doing the ride. So definitely make sure to check that out. I think it's Tall Tale 3. It's really, really great. It's wonderful. So on, was it 2 of the Tall Tales? You go through a portal, 1 and 3. And the portal, they're new arches that are near all the outposts, which I find extremely ugly and clutter the world, but that's okay. There's my thoughts and feelings on that, in case you were wondering. And once you vote on the Tall Tale, you listen to the dialogue that takes place at the outpost, and then at a certain point, what's-her-face will pull up magic, and then that's when the portal will activate. Keep in mind, you can't take any treasure with you, but your supplies last. You don't need any supplies, okay? You can just launch a boat and go in. You won't need any of those things. You don't need to stock it up or anything like that. So once you go through the portal, there's about a few minute wait, right? You're going in this place, kind of waiting to go into the server. And what they show you is really neat. People in rowboats and the sky reflecting in the water. Easily one of my favorite parts of that. Some characters might do some things on your ship, and you take that in, and you're like, oh, that's kind of cool. But then you'll load in to the world. And there's things to find, tomes, books to find, which is kind of fun. So the adventure you go on is a neat one. So I want to say numbers 2 and 4 focus mostly on, you don't feel a heavy Pirates of the Caribbean vibe. On number 4, towards the end, you do. But you're not playing this thinking, I'm in the Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm not feeling like the characters of Sea of Thieves are being respected. And you really do get that vibe. They are being respected. Tremendous care was taken. So before, we were all a little antsy. We're kind of like wait and see. So I myself was thinking, okay, I'm looking forward to it. I think there's potential for them to pull it off. Little Shunts was saying the same thing. And if you ever pull up the GG's channel points, that's him, the Scots, and Pimpin' Ain't Easy. Actually, golly, how many sound bites am I going to have you in, Shunts? And then Paul talked about how he had extreme doubts about it. And we kind of, Shunts and I dragged him, kicking and screaming, basically, into playing them. Even after we did the Xbox Ace Show 2 Pirate Radio, talking about this stuff. It's like, gee whiz. Long story short, but that's okay. I'll make it a little bit longer afterwards. You load in, and not only has Paul Jones purchased the Black Pearl set, okay, figurehead, the hull, sails, you name it, right? Not only had he purchased everything, but he bought the Jack Sparrow outfit costume, purchased it from the Emporium to wear. Not only that, but wait, there's more. There's more. Not only that, but Paul also went ahead and said, you know what, I need to watch the movies. So he watched 1 through 5, Pirates of the Caribbean. Like, he went all in. So he went from extremely suspect of it to this is the fabulous, right? The lore looking like, and you got to know Paul to know he wouldn't just normally do that. So that if that says nothing else, but we find out what the Kraken looks like. That's fun. That's a fun level part of it. There's new mechanics brought in, like the Trident. Those were sitting around in the Insider, the Sea of Thieves Insider, for months. And we're like, what in the world are these? Where is that going to... And then to use them. And those tridents are really good, especially in PvE situations, by the way, for taking bosses out. So if you're doing a Fort of Fortune, highly recommend, or it's escaping me. It's a big tornado, right? I can't remember it. Highly recommend. Or if you're doing a normal fort, it's fabulous for that. So the first pirates, you're kind of going through, and the audio that you listen to when you go through the portal is the actual 1960s audio. I crap you not. It's the actual audio from the ride, right? Like, pretty neat. You're brought back, and then the care and attention, and there's certain things to find. Again, not going to give those things away, but there's certain things to do, certain things to find. You can continue the story without finding them, but I encourage you to do so. A lot of care and attention, a lot of fun. There's a part where you go into the tavern on a ship, and they're singing, yo ho, a pirate's life for me, and they go into the whole thing, and that's really fun. And you're able to go on this adventure where you're not in the Sea of Thieves world, and that was really fun, because as somebody that has over 2,000 hours on this game, I really, really enjoyed that game. That was a lot of fun for me, because it was new places to go, new things to see, new mechanics there. It was refreshing. It was neat. And then new enemies. So since then, there's new enemies that'll pop up, not just ghost pirates on islands. Oh, by the way, they'll leave you pouches of gold sometimes now. But also you have like these big crabs, or you have these eel type things, or you have these clam for a head. I don't know the name of it, man. It's kind of weird. But they'll leave behind gems that are similar to the mermaid gems, right? So new things are introduced. So you go into a world. Then the second pirate's life, Tall Tale, you go swimming. You go and find the Black Pearl. And you get air by getting near these little bubble vents. That's how they sell that, going way, way, way down. So you basically leave your ship there and anybody can board it. You're gone for a couple hours, so, don't have anything on there you really want to not get stolen or sunk or something. And you go through the level, and it's very much telling the story of Sea of Thieves. So Tall Tale number 2 is a lot about the sirens, the mermaids, all that whole thing. Not the mermaids, but the sirens, the story with that, the lore with that, really expounding on it. And that's the part where if you're a Sea of Thieves fan and you're a little bit wary of, oh man, what are they gonna, Sea of Thieves gonna be totally swept aside, and are we just only gonna see Pirates of the Caribbean the whole time? Tall Tale 2 is a great Tall Tale to point at with an emphatic no. You are going to be doing things and experiencing things that you've not yet done in this game, new bosses, that sort of thing. And it expands the lore, which is Nito Burrito. And it continues to tell the story. And the fact that Rare can continue to do this and they loop this in is pretty neat. Now, the one thing I will say is a disappointment. Okay, and I just want to get this out of the way. I didn't realize, or somebody didn't tell me till about the fourth, the fourth Tall Tale, that the guy, it's not Johnny Depp as Jack Sparrow, and I was blown away because he's dead ringer for Jack Sparrow, the voice. But I guess him getting into the whole thing with Amber Heard, she still gets to do Aquaman 2. That's what I don't get. But he gets fired from all things Disney, which is a real shame. And there's a Pirates movie coming out without Jack Sparrow. Good luck with that. But I digress. So as we go into the story, it's really good. The voice acting is fabulous, right? And you're able to do some things for some of his crew that are helpful and that kind of save them. It makes you feel good. And then Tall Tale 3. 3 has probably got the most meat on it, I would say. Again, not giving away much other than to say that's where the Pirates of the Caribbean ride is if you want to do it. You got to row the boat yourself, but also that's the Tortuga, the whole thing, and Pack a Lunch. That one's got some meat on it, and it's really a hoot. You're just going to see all the clips from the ride and everything that they've done. They smoosh it in there, and you get to interact with the crowds, and it's pretty neat. It's pretty neat. The level design is fantastic on it, which is a lot of fun. And I recommend, if you can go through this do LFG, looking for group, do it with your friends. Can you do it solo? Sure. But man, I'll tell you what, you're going to have more fun than a barrel of monkeys if you go through A Pirate's Life with your friends. And chat, since you're just a quick reminder, chat, thanks peeps for being here. If you want to pipe up in the chat, I'm happy to make this a discussion. It's not just me kind of going over everything, but if not, that's okay too. Got lots to talk about here. So that's Tall Tale 3, okay? So that's 1, 2, 3, and then 4. This is where you're like, there's a fortress that's like northeast of Smuggler's Bay. What's going on here? And that's more of Sea of Thieves lore, more of going into the Siren story and learning about them and just experiencing what they've put together. As far as the different stages all these Tall Tales have, you go into a space, do it, complete it, and then you move to the next space. There's a travel space, and then there's another space. And I remember on Tall Tale 4, they really felt like it was part of a ride. Really did. It was pretty neat. I think it's in this one where you meet the Kraken and you get to see what the face looks like, and you're like, oh, it does have a face. That's one of the things we pirates have been asking for years for this game, is to have a pirate's face, a face on the Kraken. You just always saw the tentacles out of the water, and it's still the case when it attacks you. It's right up there with naming our ships, which, I'm not holding my breath for that. Anyways, it's been over 3 years. I maybe next Sea of Thieves, but pretty neato burrito, and that's it feels like it's part of a ride. Is what I really felt like I was in. I had like virtual reality, 3D glasses on, and experiencing something is really neat, really fun, and the people I was with really made it a good time. I will say this, okay. If you are looking to capture all of the extra things to do in this Tall Tale, it is very difficult. This is the one where if you're ever going to go on the internet and look for a guide, that's the one you're going to look for. Because if... No, I don't want to give that away. Let's just say by getting all the things helps you open something. That's all I'll say. But that's a good heads up, and you're welcome for that. And then you have the fifth Tall Tale, which, when you look at the trailer for the game, that's one of the things it had, was Davy Jones, his cloud figure, right? His squid beard as a cloud. Fabulous. And that's a neat part. And that's the grand finale for the Tall Tales, right? Tall Tale 5. And it really brings the story home. Again, not giving this any spoilers away. All of them have things to do and collect, but the definitely you want to stock up for this one. On the fifth one, definitely get some cannonballs, definitely get some wood. There's going to be some ship stuff. But the story, and the one thing the big takeaway from that Tall Tale is the way it made me feel. There's a moment in there where, you've played the game as long as I have, spent and invested as many hours. Is it a game? Yes. But there's like a really cool moving moment that kind of steals your resolve, and you're like, yeah. And it's one of the quicker of the Tall Tales, but no less exciting, no less like, make sure your cannon skills are good kind of thing. And great finale. Loved the way they tied it in a bow. They do a great job with it. I'd say all in all, you're looking at about, if you're just looking to play and not... So, okay, there's 3 ways to play the Tall Tales. 1, just play for the story. 2, play for the story and get all the things and look for the things without any help. 3, have an internet guide, which is what I recommend. The way we played it, we did a mixture of 2 and 3. We went through looking for stuff and things, but if we didn't find it, then that's fine. And then we used a guide the second time playing through, making sure that we were able to find what we found. And I thought that was good. That was really helpful. And we really enjoyed that. So the fifth one ends, and you kind of have this moment where you're reflecting, right? Because you're like, okay, it's in Sea of Thieves, there's the Pirates of the Caribbean characters, there's a lot of things going on, and you can go back through the Tall Tales and kind of experience it, and it's this real moment where Rare and Disney, let's talk about them as companies, right? So nobody's really privy to the finances on this deal. I think it's safe to say it helped Sea of Thieves out a lot. Everybody I talked to that ever played the game was like, yeah, I'm going to check it out. I'm going to come back and give it a looky-loo. The fact it's on Game Pass, huge, right? But I think, honestly, and Shunts, Paul, and I are of the same opinion. Believe it or not, this may sound really weird, this may sound really odd, but we really believe it's the truth. We think that Sea of Thieves helped Pirates of the Caribbean more than Pirates of the Caribbean helped Sea of Thieves. The story was that good, the lore was that good, the way it was executed was that good, and you're just going away from it like, man, how deep are these characters that Pirates of the Caribbean has? There's Jack, but then, the world, and that's where I kind of have always felt about Pirates of the Caribbean. When you look at the 5 movies, I like the first one. I think the first one's great. Especially, the beginning when he's stepping off the crow's nest onto the dock, right? I wish they had that somehow as an option in Sea of Thieves. But then, everything that happens, right? It's like, very solid movie. It's a fun go. Got it. Pirates of the Caribbean 2, not as good. 3, totally, wholly unbelievable. It just gets further and further detached from reality. And again, are you detaching some reality and suspending some belief to watch the first Pirates of the Caribbean, seeing the crew when in the moonlight, being skeletons and are actually dead? Of course, right? We're not saying we're not doing any of that. But then you watch on not on Stranger Tides. It's escaping me, but they have Ian McShane as Blackbeard. I enjoyed that. I thought that was a really good movie, and what's really fun, I'm here in Spain right now, really near Cadiz, and it's right down there where the beginning of that movie takes place, which is really, really fun. But then the sixth one, Deadman. So yeah, that is on Stranger Tides. But then the sixth one, Deadman Tells No Tales, not great. It was just, yeah. So I don't know that, I think the best days of the franchise are behind them. And I think the best thing that happened to Pirates of the Caribbean since the first movie is actually Pirate's Life in Sea of Thieves. I think that they've got to be very grateful to Rare for what they've done. They've done something very cool with that. They've married two worlds, and they've respected Sea of Thieves like they said they would, but they gave you an adventure that you weren't going to have without the Pirates of the Caribbean. And that's it. That's a Pirate's Life review from me, your humble host, Xbox Ace. So we've talked about Back for Blood. We have talked about A Pirate's Life, given the review for both of these things, the beta, but then Pirate's Life, the DLC. That's still free. And that's the thing I should mention, it's free, right? They didn't charge for it. It's just, hey, come and play Sea of Thieves. And yeah, you get to do this kind of thing. So, yeah, I need to learn more about the Game Pass model because I think they're making a lot of money off of it. And good for them. Not that they shouldn't. But that's interesting. So anybody in the chat, I want to give you an opportunity right quick, whether you've been from the beginning or whether you're kind of tuning in here towards the end and hear my thoughts. Has anybody played the Back for Blood beta or a Sea of Thieves Pirate's Life? Do you have any input? Is there something that you would like to converse about? Something that did you like it? Did you not like it? Why did you like it? Why did you not like it? Did you just think it was okay? Is there anybody here that would like to pipe up and have a quick chat about it? If so, go ahead and do that. And while I'm waiting, it's been far, far too long since I've done an Xbox Day show. I need to do it again more frequently. Things are a little bananas at work right now, but I think I can make that commitment to you all. At least we'll talk about something. We don't have to store it up like Squirrel storing nuts for the winter and have all these things to talk about. We can get together once or twice or once every week or two, and we can chat together and have something. I'll upload this, of course, if you might be listening to this on YouTube right now. You might be listening to this on replay. Of course, those of you that are live here right now, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for being here. It's great to have you. And it's kind of a weird, funky podcast of sorts, isn't this? It's a podcast, but I'm calling it a show. We're just kind of having some fun. I'm not always doing this for a living. We're just all kind of passionate, great friends that play a lot of these games. And, you're here. The Twitch community is fantastic, especially in Sea of Thieves. I got to tell you, the community here, the streaming community, the streamers, the support that we all have for one another is really, really quite fun, and I'm very, very fond of it. I think it's really great that we have this opportunity to be this for each other, this support and buttress, which is really great. So anyways, but I think that's where we call it, my friends. Thank you very much for coming out once again live, or if you're watching this on rerun, replay, YouTube. You all rock. And I'm grateful for you. And please, if you enjoyed the content, give it a like. Give it a subscribe on the channel. If you know of friends, feel free to join the Discord, please. And follow me on Twitch. We'll catch you another time. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you again real soon.